What's up everyone from Filomania? All my monsters and I are back with another unboxing. This little box just arrived straight from the US and we're opening it right now. I've been waiting for this knife ever since it was released, not because it's particularly rare or impossible to find, but because, honestly, it takes a bit of saving up. It sits in that range of knives that aren't ultra premium, but definitely a step above the standard. So yeah, it's taken me a while to get here, but finally, it's in my hands. From the box alone, some of you might already be guessing what this is. But before the reveal, something caught my attention: the amount of marketing material inside. This package came from Blade HQ, and right off the bat, we've got a surprisingly large catalog, not something you usually see included with a knife like this. And look at this, what the hell is this thing? Oh wow, Filomania. Filomania, for those who don't know, is a company that makes precision-machined aftermarket knife parts, custom scales, clips, backspacers, you name it, for brands like Spyderco, Benchmade, and others. For example, if you have something like this Spyderco Valatin, they'll make titanium or G10 handles, anodized clips, different finishes, basically anything you need to make it your own. Alright, we'll put that aside for now, but this next bit really got me. These appear to be magnets. Yeah, they are! Filomania clearly went all in on their marketing budget for this one. It looks like the magnets show off different types of scales, and I can see they're also featuring the Shark Lock system from Demco. These magnets come from Filomania's arcade knife, which is known for being highly customizable. Pretty clever idea. You can build your own magnetic knife and stick it on your fridge, definitely unique. On the magnets, you can see how the arcade looks from the show side, with scales in titanium, G10, Ultim, and more. I've never seen advertising done this way. It's fun, memorable, and might just push me to finally get one of those arcades for the collection. Anyway, let's leave this aside. Big shout out to Filomania for putting real effort into their promo material. And here's another flyer, same as the one I got with the Chavez Redención X-Lock, also from Blade HQ. So yeah, this one's clearly a piece of marketing too. Here it is, an ad for a knife called the Nano Shark. There you go, Nano Shark. If you want to check it out, just pause the video and scan the QR code right here with your phone. It'll take you straight to the brand's page so you can see these little knives up close. I've actually reviewed this model before. If you search Shark Lock here on the channel, you'll find that video. Now, moving on, here's something else. Mixto Element Service MagnaCut Plus Richlight. These are knives made in the USA, as proudly stated right here on the card. Oh wait, correction, it's not Mixto, it's Misto, the new model. Looks pretty cool. And on the other side, we've got another promo for the Micro Counter-Strike, part of the Collector Series, also in MagnaCut, with Cocobolo wood handles, that reddish tone, and another version in carbon fiber, darker and sleeker. If you like how it looks, scan that QR code too. It'll take you straight to Blade HQ, where you can check prices, specs, and availability. I don't have this one in my collection either, but it's definitely on my radar. Alright, now let's get to what we came for. Here it is, the classic black box from Microtech, one of the most respected American knife brands, founded by Anthony Marfione, an Italian-American maker known for pushing the limits of design and precision. And this time, as the label says, we're looking at the Socom Bravo Warcom blade in its mini version. This one features titanium frame construction, not just titanium scales, but a full titanium skeleton, which already tells you we're in for something special. The blade has a satin finish, a hand satin done on a belt grinder. You can see the strokes. There's a blue titanium pivot collar around the axis, which gives it a subtle pop of color. The scales are carbon fiber. Yep, carbon fiber, and aside from some serial or spec codes, as I mentioned at the start, this is a knife I've had my eye on for a long time. The packaging is top-notch, honestly. The whole presentation screams quality. This isn't the kind of impulse buy you grab at the checkout. It's the sort of knife you save up for. Inside the box, you get all the paperwork, warranty and brand information, QR codes to follow Microtech on social, and a small booklet that welcomes you and covers basic operation, how to deploy and stow the blade, plus care and sharpening instructions. They took the time to include those details, which is nice to see. Full transparency. I bought this with my own money, so expect a completely honest review. I've already looked at it carefully. I believe this model dropped last year, 2024, so it's fairly recent. For context, I already own the original, full-size Microtech Socom Bravo, the longer version, which I still keep in my collection. This here is the Mini, noticeably lighter to the touch and designed more with everyday carry in mind. It's smaller and less obtrusive, so it's easier to carry daily. It sort of disappears from your pocket mentally, if not physically, thanks to the discreet size and weight. Let's open it up. Okay, as you can see, this is a frame lock design. You can see the frame there. The action is excellent, really solid. The detent is very well tuned, and then the blade shoots out like a wild arrow. You can see it. The action is fast, sharp, and absolutely reliable. The lockup is rock solid. No blade play up or down, left or right. It's perfectly dialed in. The frame lock engages around 45% onto the tang, right in the center line, giving it a confident, mechanical bite that keeps the blade locked tight. The detent, again, isn't light. You have to apply a bit of pressure with your thumb, but once it breaks, the snap is aggressive and satisfying, that instant click that tells you you're holding something tuned to perfection. This is actually the first time I'm handling this knife in person, and so far I'm impressed. The blade steel here is Bowler M390, a premium stainless known for its excellent edge retention and corrosion resistance. There it is, stamped right on the blade. Here we've got the eagle claw emblem, Microtech's signature logo, laser etched right on the blade. Like I mentioned before, it's an American brand through and through. On the other side, the blade is clean, no markings, just the steel's sheen. It comes with dual thumb studs, these small barrels right here. They act not only as openers, but also as stoppers, preventing the blade from hitting the titanium scales when it locks open. Clever and functional design. Careful not to slice the lens here, those studs deploy the blade with authority. Now, about the finish. It's that fine hand satin I mentioned earlier. The blade is a hybrid design developed by Tony Marfione together with his son Sean. They basically took a clip point and gave it a cut that morphs it into a modified Tanto-style tip. If you picture a clip point ending in an upward-pointing tip, they decided to carve into that profile and create a new geometry that turns the tip into something more aggressive and functional. They didn't stop there. The team added a chamfer along the edge near the tip, basically removing a little material from both sides to thin the section down. The purpose is practical. With less thickness at the point, the blade will penetrate materials more easily during thrusting or stabbing motions. The end result is a unique take on a tactical Tanto, Microtech's own twist on a combat-oriented shape. Visually, it reads as an aggressive blade. That downward-oriented tip gives you an angle that makes cuts exceptionally deep with very little effort. In a defensive or tactical scenario, a short motion can produce a very serious, penetrating cut. Note that the unsharpened section you see behind the tip is intentionally left without a cutting edge. It may have a small bevel for finish, but it's not a primary cutting surface. The critical element is the lowered tip angle, which creates a leverage point for very precise and very deep cuts when the motion comes from top to bottom. Now let's talk about the handle area and construction. The knife uses titanium bolsters, the thicker parts of the frame around the pivot that form the junction between blade and handle. In this model, the bolster flows into the frame lock, that moving titanium leaf you push to unlock the blade. It isn't a classic, separate bolster like you'd see on a Buck 110 here. The bolster is a clearly defined upper and lower block joining the handle, but it functions similarly as structural metal that secures and supports the blade and gives you room to mount different handle materials. Modern bolsters and frame designs vary a lot, and Microtech blends both ideas here. The bolster area merges into the frame lock plank, offering robust support while keeping the construction slim and purposeful. In short, the pivot sits in that reinforced section. The frame lock leaf is cut and tensioned so you can push it to release the blade, and the whole assembly feels engineered for reliability and durability rather than just aesthetics. The handle scales here are made of classic carbon fiber. You can see those dark, shimmering veins running through the material. It's strong, lightweight, and extremely resistant to both heat and cold. Think of it as a super tough composite, kind of like plastic, but with the rigidity of metal. It's used everywhere from high-performance cars to aerospace components, and for good reason. Now, looking at the spine, it almost seems like a one-piece integral frame, as if the entire structure were milled from a single block of titanium. And at first glance, it really gives that impression. You can see the metallic titanium color wrapping from one side to the other, perfectly machined to leave space for the carbon fiber inlays that are secured with two tiny screws, one visible here, another tucked under the pocket clip on the opposite side. So yeah, it looks like an integral, but technically it's not. I haven't disassembled this knife yet, though I do own the larger version, and from that experience I'd say this is actually a multi-part construction. Two side slabs and a long, structural backspacer that ties them together. That backspacer gives the knife this futuristic backbone, long, solid, and almost architectural. It's a design language very typical of Marfione, that sci-fi, almost alien aesthetic you also see in the Microtech Stitch, another model we've reviewed on this channel. It looks like something out of a science fiction film, geometric, industrial, yet elegant. The pocket clip follows the same design language, repeating those angular lines we saw on the handle. You can see the three little grooves and the cutouts that echo that alien tech aesthetic I mentioned earlier. It's not just decoration, the clip visually ties the whole piece together. Importantly, this clip is set up for right-hand carry only. It's mounted for tip-down, right-side carry, which means lefties are left out unless they're willing to modify the knife or adapt their carry. The clip position also determines how the tip sits in your pocket. With this clip and orientation, the tip points down when it's clipped in, so when you draw it, the point is oriented the way the designer intended. Some people prefer tip-up carry, others tip-down. It's mostly taste and habit. A few models offer multiple clip positions for ambidextrous use, but this one doesn't. That said, the clip itself is rock solid, built to withstand serious tension. You won't be worried about it ripping out of your pocket. It's engineered to hold fast. That little hole you see near the end of the handle is not for the clip, it's a lanyard hole. Many collectors like to add a small paracord lanyard or a decorative bead, sometimes titanium fobs, or custom trinkets to personalize the knife and make it easier to extract from a pocket or pouch. If you want flair or faster access, a short lanyard does the trick. Now, those two tiny screws aren't just decoration either. Microtech has put a replaceable steel contact into the frame lock area, the little part on the lock that takes the wear from the blade tang over time. Locks do wear with repeated use, and instead of having to replace the whole frame or do heavy machining, you can simply unscrew and swap that wear piece out for a new one. If you zoom in or get the camera to focus, you'll see the cut on that insert. It's removable and serviceable. Practical engineering, longevity baked into the design. So, with that frame lock insert we mentioned, the knife gains extra stability. It keeps the blade from developing vertical play over time. That's crucial. A folder like this should lock up as solid as a fixed blade when open. If you ever feel movement up, down, or side to side, it usually means the pivot needs a little tuning. Speaking of the pivot, this one is a T10 Torx, a big, beefy screw, which I personally appreciate. Larger hardware means less chance of stripping it during maintenance. Surrounding it is that blue titanium collar we saw in the box, a decorative touch that adds contrast without being flashy. Inside, the blade rides on caged bearings, and that's what gives it this effortless glide you're seeing. The bearings are flat and wide, similar to those in a skateboard wheel, and they make the action incredibly smooth. You can feel the precision, no grinding, no resistance, just a clean mechanical snap every time you open it. Out of the box, this knife came perfectly centered, which is always a good sign of tight tolerances and careful assembly from the factory. There it is, perfectly centered right down the middle between both scales. That alignment says a lot about the build quality. So friends, that's it for today. This unboxing turned out a bit longer than usual, mostly because of all the marketing extras that came along for the ride. I guess brands are already kicking off their holiday campaigns. It's October 2025. After all, everyone's pushing to close the year strong. Anyway, my monsters and I truly appreciate you making it all the way to the end. We always end up going over time, giving these unboxings a level of detail that's almost a full review, but you know how it is. Don't worry though, this little beast will be back on the channel after some time in rotation with my other knives. I'll do a long-term review, talking about how it performs, what worked, what didn't, and what makes this design, the Microtech Mini Socom Bravo with the Warcom blade, worth your attention. Thanks again for watching, friends. Big hugs, much love, have a great week, and see you in the next episode. Until then, ciao.